Now, two things happening today, really. The issues have been merged. This demonstration is on the back of the agreements that Ghana signed with the U.S. and then Parliament, of course, given the go-ahead for us to, effectively, legally go ahead with this agreement. But also on the back of this is comments made by a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Anyidoho, for which reason he's been charged for treason, and he spent the night, really, he's still in custody of the BNI, we're told. So these two issues are coming together. We're discussing both together. We will hear from the lawyer for Anyidoho, who is Kojoga Adaudu. He spoke on PM Express on JoyNews yesterday. Now, when we come back, we still go to the grounds, the Obra Spot, where Roland Walker and Maxwell Agbagba are standing by. But we want to get some legal education on the charges that have been slapped on him as well. So we've got Alhaji Inusa Fuseni, who will be joining us in studio as well. Stay with us. All the angles covered. We'll bring you your social media comments as well. First, here's Kojoga Adaudu.
From beginning, they said we were charged under the offense of causing fear and panic under section, I believe, 182. After writing the statement, then he came back and said that upon consultation from the top hierarchy of the police, they feel they should charge us under high treason. So it was there we said, oh, okay, if high treason, that means we needed to change our statement. Okay. So it was there whilst we were writing again that we were charged under treason. They said it is treason, but not high treason. Okay. So we finished and we had asked that. So what is the next thing? If you look at the procedure and by law, the police are given some mandate, some power to grant bail. Okay. When they look at the offense, and in this matter, we are being investigated, not that we have been charged. Okay. For the offense. We are being investigated. So that's an ordinary caution statement that we have written. Then I think he went, the police officers, some of them went out, came back, only to be told that the instructions from above, there will be no bail. Why? We don't work with instruction, we work with the law. Yes, we will allow the law to take its own course. If they decide that they will keep him over 48 hours, the law tells us what to do.
What does the law say?
Oh, the law, we have to go to court. The law says that they have to take us to court. If they want to keep him over 48 hours, they have to go to the court. And if the court seek the court that we want to detain him and do investigation, if what they present before the court is satisfied, the court would. If the court is not satisfied, and the court has the discretion to grant bail. Now,
okay. It's 53 minutes after 7. You just heard the lawyer for Anyidoho, Kojoga Adaudu. And so we're waiting to see, would there be a court appearance this morning? Would there be or not? We're keeping our eyes close to that. But what is this charge of treason that's been slapped on him? What's that all about? Joining me now is Alhaji Inusa Fuseni. He's Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. He's ranking member on Legal Constitutional Committee of Parliament. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mama V.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Treason.
Yep.
That's a big charge.
That's a very huge offense, high offense. Yeah.
We've seen it being slapped on a Member of Parliament during your government's Kennedy Japan.
Yes. I think that finally the charge was changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not new. Explain to us, now you have your legal spectacles on. What is this treason charge?
Well, treason is a very serious offense. It's captured in the Criminal Code, Act 29, Section 180 to 182. Section 180 defines treason in accordance with Article 3 of the Constitution, Article 3, Clause 3, which talks about high treason. Anybody taking steps to overthrow the Constitution in any way, involving subversive acts that are likely to disturb the political system, the governance of this country. it will be committing high treason. Treasonable felony is doing acts in either alone or in concert with others, which are intended to overthrow the government, or which endeavors to overthrow government, or doing acts which abets the outcome similar to clause 182A. Yes, yes.
The comments that you've heard Koku make, you still remember, do you?
I do.
Or we should give a little reminder.
I do. I mean, many people have made similar comments in the past, and I, as a politician, as a lawyer, I always consider them as mere puff. The comments normally lack criminal intent.
How would you know?
Well,
we're told that in previous coup d'etats, that's how people interpreted, and they interpreted wrongly.
I remember when I was doing political science at the University of Ghana, one time foreign minister of this state who hailed from the northern region, I've forgotten his name, under the Liman administration said, and even Michael Quay said, preparing and executing a coup is a difficult, dangerous exercise. Difficult, dangerous exercise. I mean,
but
no person,
also
unless you
don't underestimate anybody.
No, unless you just on the suicide mission. I mean, no person who is desirous of overthrowing the government will mount a platform and particularly choose the media to announce his intention to overthrow a government. I mean, no person does that. I mean, so you will have to see what activities have been engaged in, which will link these activities, which is normally called actus reus. What activities has that person taken? What preparatory activities has that person taken? Which activities will lend either a general intent of overthrowing the government or a specific intent of doing a treasonable act, or I mean a constructive effect, that when you put all those acts together, you come to one conclusion that those acts are intended.
He makes reference to it is beginning from the demonstration on Wednesday.
That clearly evidences what he was meaning. He said, look, we are going to engage in demonstrations, civilian revolt. We are going to revolt against a system.
What does civil coup d'etat mean? Is there anything like civil coup d'etat? Doesn't it mean just about the same thing?
Well, it doesn't mean about the same thing. I've not seen it defined anywhere that there will be a civil coup d'etat. I mean,
a coup d'etat is a coup d'etat.
A coup d'etat is a coup d'etat, but normally done with the involvement of the military and the use of some force. So clearly, Koku.
But he's a barracks guy.
There are many people in the barracks, including those who sell wachi, but that they have no capacity to overthrow anybody. They have no capacity. I mean, Koku definitely has no capacity. And that's why sometimes...
How do you know he has no capacity? Is it because you know him? How
do
we tell?
Because
you never know.
A person desirous of overthrowing the government will say that and thereafter go and organize a press conference and be sitting at the press center. You think that? And then when he's challenged, when he's arrested, he walks back boldly to the police station. You think that a person will do that? I mean, they are just...
So what was the intent then?
Well, people have their own personal idiosyncrasies. Could choose to communicate in that way. I mean, belligerent manner, in a way that sends a signal, makes us remember Koku. And that was all. I mean, there was nothing to it.
But those were, in the past... Those were very hurtful comments.
Well, in the past, people have... You see...
So does that make it right?
Oh, it could be morally reprehensible, but that doesn't make it an offense.
What do you make of it? Like, what's your interpretation?
It's morally reprehensible. Just like in the past, many people have made such unguarded comments, such comments that tended to inflame political passions. They are morally reprehensible. They offend the sensibilities of persons. Okay, but and that's it.
Were you offended by the comments?
No, I said, oh, what is this? What's Koku saying? I mean, we are going to organize a demonstration, and the demonstration is premised on the exercise of the executive authority of the president in entering into an agreement with the Americans, and the president invoked the power of parliament to ratify that agreement. From a legal point of view, the power to ratify that agreement matures upon execution of that agreement and then submission of that agreement to parliament for ratification. Now, you look at that agreement from a legal point of view, from the documents that were submitted to parliament, you don't see that anywhere that is recited in those documents that the president executed or calls to be executed an agreement between the government of Ghana and the government of the United States, which is calling on parliament to ratify it. You don't see it there. Okay, meaning clearly that there was no execution of that. So from a legal point of view, I will support whatever action being taken by civil society to say that, look, no. I think that is an infringement of the Constitution. I think there's a constitutional matter here. Now, never mind that we have serious issues about the sovereignty of the state, the mortgaging of the sovereign rights of the people of this country to live peacefully within the confines of their territory to an outside force. Never mind that. But clearly, if I see constitutional infractions or perceived constitutional infractions, I will lend my support to that, because nobody, I mean, even Cuckoo, I mean, you know why we call Ghana a democracy? It's because of our rights. The exercise of our rights is free speech. Okay, and to be free from arbitrary arrest, and that this government or any other government in this our country running on the 1992 Constitution must be founded on the will of the people, and that government must rule with the consent of the people. That's why we are a democracy.
We will come back to the other side of the coin. Does it mean that because the previous agreements, we were not, it wasn't out there, we didn't see, so the terms were okay with the minority that is speaking in the manner in which it is right now, as you are, Alhaji? But let's return. We're also bringing to you what is happening at the Obra Sport. That's the conversion points, really, for those demonstrators. Roland Walker, Maxwell Agbogbo on standby. We're linking up, first of all, to Roland now. Roland, what has changed since the last time you gave us an update?
Since I gave you the last update, we can also give you just what the scenes here are. And Maxwell, what will be your description before we take the lenses there?
Well, when we came in, actually, we saw tens of people. Now we've graduated from tens to hundreds, and I'm sure very soon we'll get to thousands because information we're picking up from organizers is that a lot more people will be joining as we move through the principal, streets of Accra. And you know that the organizers of this demonstration, numbers especially, will be very, very, very important to them, for the success of this demonstration. As some minutes ago, I actually saw some men fueling the trailer that will be used. 2 trailers, actually, all of them with sound systems getting ready for us to get into motion, Roland.
Okay, so let's now take you to the crowd. You can see that they are building up slowly. This is the trailer that will give you every indication that, well, they are ready for this march. We know that it's been convened to make sure that those who have that whole opinion that the Ghana-U.S. military cooperation agreement is not right for Ghana will make sure they converge here for today's event. Now, let me just speak to ordinary people who have converged here. Good morning to you. How are you?
Thank you. Good morning. I'm fine.
So where are you coming from to be part of this protest march?
The starting of coming here is Anyidoho is selling Ghana to white men. That's why I'm here to defend the good name of Ghana.
That's how you understand it?
Yeah, that's
Anyidoho is selling Ghana
to America. Is giving Ghana to America. Like how our forefathers fight for the country, we have to defend the country. And Anyidoho is rather selling the country to white men. So we are here to defend the good name of Ghana.
And you, why do you think you are here? Why are you here?
The reason why I'm here is that Anyidoho want to sell Ghana. And we don't allow him. That's why we are coming to make the...
Anyidoho wants to sell the president.
President.
But do you know that there's this agreement they call the Ghana-U.S. military cooperation agreement? Do you know there is something like that?
Anyway, it's true. But they said in 1998, running the gym, they made that agreement in 2015. But they have changed that. It's not the same. as Nanado's own.
Your understanding is that it's not the same?
It's not the same.
Okay, so you have a pretty much understanding of the reason why you're here today. So the crowd is massing up, so you can find a lot more of them. The police personnel are also ready. It's not only the contingent that have been asked to come here, but you can also find more of these members of the public, as well as members of the NDC, members of other progressive forces, so to speak, who have made their presence here felt. Very soon we'll be speaking to a number of the personalities as well, but we want to gauge the feeling of the ordinary Ghanaian who is here to ask them what may be the reason why they're here, what do they hope to achieve at the end of the day, and then what they hope to see. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And you are here because you believe in this convening of this movement. And what were the rationale or the objectives and the reasons that were given to you for this?
Nobody gave me rationale or objective. Nobody, let it be stated on record that nobody has given me any objective or goals to come in here. One, I'm a Ghanaian and I'm an intellect. Therefore, I can see what is going on. I can read for myself what is going on. At least, even if you are going to marry a woman, there should be negotiation. You go to the parents of the woman, you negotiate, and then you yourself, the man, you see what will benefit you. If the woman is going to hang you, are you going to pay the bride price? No. You step out. Therefore, if you are going to sign a contract of such a manner, US are sacking our people. They are sacking our people from their country. Their president described Africa as a shithole. Therefore, what is the difference between what we have done as a government and the shithole that we were described with? Government is a representative of the people. The parliamentarians are not representing themselves. I believe the majority in parliament were voted for into parliament. They cannot do what the people dislike. At least they should consider the people. The people came to the parliament and said no to it. You have to listen to your people. You are not representing yourself. They should put away their ego. They should put away their corrupted attitude. And then first Ghana first. Attend to Ghana. Look at the plight of the 2017 budget. What have they done with the money? Are they thinking of this? What have they done with their budget?
Where do you live in Accra? If you live in Accra?
Bawe.
And so how many of you in your area decided to come here?
Several of us, I cannot count. Because one, when you go to Bawe constituency, we have the most deplorable roads, deplorable road network. For 16 years, the NPP parliamentarian have been going to parliament and representing Wejagbawe. Nothing has happened in Wejagbawe. So why shouldn't the government consider the plight of the people? They are considering their pocket and they are ignoring the people that voted for them. I believe the representation of the of Ghanaians is the parliamentarians. So they should think about the people, what the people want and what the people say, not what they want and what they.
And what you want today, and the reason why you are joining this march is.
We want the government to reconsider the contract they have signed. The sovereignty of Ghanaians is at stake. I cannot live in Wejagbawe and then the American government to come to Wejagbawe, do whatever they like, and I cannot talk as a citizen. I don't think the governments should go and take the agreement between Kenya and Britain, the Great Britain, and the Northern Ireland, and then they should consider that, and then go to the negotiating table again with America. This is not for the interest of Ghana. It is the interest.
What's your name?
I'm Abe Abdurrauf.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Welcome.
And that's good talking to you. I have the Member of Parliament for Sanirugu constituency here, ABA Fuseni. Good morning to you. And you consistently over the last couple of days have been talking about this Ghana-US military cooperation agreement and that it's not for the people. And now you're part of this protest march as convened. Is it not all political, just intended to make sure government looks bad?
My brother, let me say good morning to all your listeners across the world. If you bring uninfested firewood to your house, you don't complain if you are visited by lizards. This visionless government, this government of crass incompetence, this government of insensitivity and betrayal. Today, is it not shameful that a government of a party that styles itself as a new patriotic party and emphasize the word patriotic is the very government that is selling this country cheap to foreigners? Is it not ironic? that a government that claims that it is motivated by the supreme interests and aspirations of the good people of this country is a government that has gone and negotiated the most shambolic, the most incompetent, the most laughable, an object of derision in the international community, called an agreement where you surrender the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of this country, won for us by our forebears who struggled and put their lives on the line. My brother, doesn't it strike you that these are the same people who sent a delegation to the Queen in England when Ghana should have had independence in 1954?
Oh, not decades ago, prior to independence. It's immaterial to the present circumstances we find ourselves.
That's why I'm saying that they are their forebears. You will not see a guinea fowl flying and its offspring will be walking. Very good. These are their forebears. These are their forebears. So we are saying that what their ancestors did about independence, today they don't appreciate the independence we won. That is why they can sell it so cheaply. Because if they appreciate the independence that this country won, the lives that were sacrificed for the independence of this country, for our sovereignty, for our territorial integrity, they will not go and sell it in a manner so cheaply, so humiliating, so disgusting.
You are part of that parliament, the parliament that passed the 2018 Ghana-US military agreement.
That this is an agreement of surrender, of betrayal, of humiliation, and that we are not part of it. Sure. The minority was never, all the way, right from the onset, we in the minority pointed out that the sovereignty of Ghana has no price tag. You can never sell the sovereignty and territorial integrity and independence of Ghana. So we made it abundantly clear. And it was also anchored on a false premise, on illegality. Look, Article 75 of the Constitution of the Republic indicates that for an agreement to come for ratification before Parliament, it should have been executed. That agreement was not even signed. I'm sure you saw copies of it. The agreement was not signed. It was not executed by the executive. And so what was before Parliament? There was nothing before Parliament. Because you cannot so call it an agreement. And we are saying clearly in clear language that this is not an agreement that was negotiated. It is an imposed agreement. The United States simply dictated the terms and gave it to the president. And the president, in his lack of interest for this nation, simply got cabinet to rubber stamp it. And that is what it is. So Nana Akufo-Addo is the one who is selling Ghana cheaply today, to the point that even in our country, my brother, even now passports are no longer even valid for people to enter the country. US contractors can simply enter Ghana with an ID card. My brother, even under the Vienna Convention, which grants diplomatic immunities to serving staff, they enter with passports.
What's wrong with
even the diplomatic?
But what's wrong with it? An agreement that is mutual between two countries, two sovereign nations who have had great relationships since independence. What's wrong with it?
I like the word you use. You use mutual. Can Ghanaians enter the US with ID card? Tell me, if it is mutual. Americans are entering Ghana with ID cards. Can Ghanaians enter the US with ID cards? Even you have to go and struggle and queue for visa, you won't even get it. You see how they have treated us?
Which sections of that agreement, which sections of this agreement that make it inimical, a hinder to a sovereign state as a country?
Every aspect of the agreement is inimical to our interests. How can you grant, number one, like I said, immunities to American contractors? And when Americans talk of military contractors, they are talking of a killing machine. They are not talking of those who come to build. The likes of Blackwater, they just contract these people to go and level places and kill people, irrespective of whoever they are. These are the people who are going to enter our country with ID cards. They are not even going to enter our country through the normal diplomatic channels and reserve. They are going to enter with ID cards. If they come and commit all sorts of heinous crimes in this country, our courts are stopped from trying them. They cannot be arrested for committing any crime in Ghana. Yes. They can commit all the atrocious crimes in Ghana. Not even our courts have jurisdiction to hear any case. Yes. Our security, in fact, when the military bases were granted them, they can bring in all manner of weapons, biological, chemical, nuclear weapons, missiles, anything that
biological weapons or other materials stated in the agreement.
My brother, the agreement says they can bring in anything. Go and read the agreement. So anything means biological weapons can be brought, chemical weapons can be brought, atomic weapons can be brought, nerve agents can be brought. They can bring in anything. Under the, how can a country says it's sovereign? Somebody is bringing something in your country and you don't even know. You are even stopped from finding out what the person is bringing. Is that an independent country?
So what do you want done now after this protest march? You want to drum home consistently the opinion that the Ghanaian people are not in favor of this?
At the end of the day, the most important element in the nation is the Ghanaian people. When the Ghanaian people say that they solidly reject this betrayal, this humiliation Nana Akufo-Addo has gone to bring on Ghana. I was just listening to Nigeria, and Nigeria's comment was that Ghana, is that Osajefu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, where today you can sell your sovereignty for $20 million. It's so shameful, my brother, to the extreme that posterity will curse this government of President Nana Akufo-Addo and his forebears for having subjected us to such object of derision and ridicule. And Ghana now reduced to a laughing stock in the annals of the international community.
Well, one last proverb before we go.
I've always said that the MPP has died in the market. You don't need to announce their funeral.
Well, so let's go on and speak to some other personalities. And we know that they've all gathered here, making sure that they also make their presence felt. Let me go speak to Roxanne Nelson Dapamakpo, who is a regular on the AM show. He's also a member of parliament for South Dine. He's a legal practitioner. Unfortunately, in red today, not in court, just solidarizing with the protest. Good morning to you, Roxanne.
Good morning to you, Roland. Good morning to your viewers. It's a great day today.
Now, I'm not seeing the massed up crowd. Well, if you look at the hype and the publicity that was given to this event, it looks like it's not living up to the billing.
It will. If you know what the police did to us yesterday. They have maimed some people. They caused grievous bodily damage to others. They practically brutalized our people yesterday. So yes, being human beings, they will get scared. Indeed, a lot of them were told yesterday that even what was happening yesterday was chicken feed, and that what will happen today will be much more. So having sent that kind of message amongst the people, you saw the people who marched up at the police headquarters yesterday. They were scared. But I am hoping that once we begin, like a rolling stone, we'll gather more as we roll, as we proceed, the crowd will come to join, and then eventually it will come to effect. So I'm hoping that the people will come.
But it's all in making sure you also link up with the whole objective of this protest. And we've had consistent refrain from the NDC side of Parliament and the concern you had with the content of that agreement. But in reality, what can we do beyond all these master protests, etc.?
You see, it is immaterial whether the protestations, as you see now, it's being led by thousands of people and not one person. What is important is that there's a protestation against the supposed ratification of this agreement. Now, to answer your question, what can we do beyond all this? That is why, as you may be aware, 2 persons have brought an application since yesterday before the Supreme Court, asking various reliefs, which are very, very material to all. They align, they are in consonance with the tenor of our protest. And so we are hoping that the Supreme Court will expeditiously deal with the matter in a manner that will be consistent with the general interest of the people in this country. You see, as we say in colloquialism, the vibe on the ground is against the ratification and or signing of this agreement with Americans.
All right, so that's Roxanne Nelson Dapamakpo. He's a member of parliament speaking to Roland Walker there live from the Obra Sports, where Maxwell Agbagba has also pinched camp on one other side of the spot. It's still very much a conversion point because they have not moved yet. But of course, we will not let you miss any bits of this demonstration. We'll bring you all the angles and all the details. In studio, I've got Alhaji Nusaf Hussaini. He's been using his legal spectacles to take us through the charges of treason. We'll come to what the punishment is, because as you well know, that's what has been slapped on the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, coup Anyidoho, and he's still very much in the custody of the security forces. But where have we come from with all this? Why are we here today, really, with this demonstration with coup behind bars? This is the story so far.
Ultimately, they'll introduce that thing. President Nano also can. So eventually, I'm telling you, somebody should turn an Akufo-Addo. Master, history has a very interesting way of repeating itself. On the 13th of January 1972, a certain Colonel Ignatius Kutu Achampo led an insurrection, led a movement that removed the Progress Party from power. Buzia was the prime minister, Akufo-Addo's father was the ceremonial president. Somebody should tell Akufo-Addo that history has an interesting way of repeating itself. I'm telling you, history has a very interesting way. Oh, Master,
All right, 25 minutes after 8. Real quick, we have to return to a brass spot. We'll come back in a bit. Stay with us.
Persons like the former vice president of this republic. It is an indication that indeed the youth has power, a power that when it is well directed, we can achieve any results that we want, including getting Ghana taking itself out of these deadly agreements. Fellow participants, the route that has been announced, we as the organizers, we are asking you to kindly stick to the route. We will do everything possible to ensure that your safety is assured. We gave the police our word, but we also did not miss word in telling them that they have the responsibility to ensure that our lives, protecting our lives is their top priority. When we get to the house back, there will be more. We'll be giving you some more speeches. But before you walk out of here, we want you to know that millions of Ghanaians share the same sentiment with you, that we are not ready to sacrifice and compromise our security, sovereignty, and our dignity as the people of Ghana. And young people will lead the charge. This morning, text messages were sent to people telling them that the demonstration has been cancelled. Despite all the efforts, the intimidation, all the calls to threaten us, we are here and the number keeps increasing. We can only send one message to the president and the government, that you can never disrespect the people's power. The people have the power and they will use it in the interest of this country. Let us stay peaceful and ensure that demonstration is incident-free. Thank you very much, and we'll meet you at the house back. Thank you.
I'm from JoyNews, and my camera is there, so if you can turn, if you can just stand and then, but consistently you're solidarizing yourself with this demonstration. So what does it say? And we have here the vice president, the former vice president of the Republic of Ghana. You can hear, sir. So why are you part of this demonstration, sir? Why are you part of this demonstration, sir?
Because I'm a Ghanaian, and I also feel for the issues that face this country.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, so you know the crowd is massed up. We'll make sure that we bring you all the live views from this event. This crowd has been trickling in over the period. We have a number of them now. And they are readying themselves to get onto the main street as they get in line to make sure they are ready for the whole event. We have a number of personalities, not only from the NDC, but also the PNC, the CPP, a number of them in there. Today's event, in which we have.
All right, Roland Walker there, and the action really, what it means is that they are now on the road. They are now on the road. The demonstration effectively has begun. We will link up with Roland Walker and our colleague Maxwell Agbagba, whom we haven't seen much this morning, but we'll certainly see him along the line. We're bringing you coverage of this demonstration, but we're also talking about this treason charge that's been slapped on the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, coup Anyidoho. I've got Alhaji Nusaf Hussaini, who's going to explain to us this treason charge, which is a huge offense, what kind of punishment goes with it. But let's also speak to a constitutional lawyer, Dr. Kwadwo Appiagyei-Etua, who is joining us via Skype now on the back of coup Anyidoho's arrest and the charge that's been put on him. Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
We thank you for your time. So first of all, can I start with you because you're a constitutional lawyer? Can somebody be arrested the manner in which Koku was without a warrant, an arrest warrant, first of all?
Well, if you are talking about an arrest warrant, the law says that you can be arrested with or without one. If you can be arrested without an arrest warrant where the offense is committed in the presence of the police officer or somebody else who saw you committing the offense, or the police feels that there is a strong likelihood that you are likely to commit an offense. In such situations, you can be arrested without a warrant. But I don't have the full facts with regard to how Mr. Anyidoho was arrested for me to conclude if an arrest warrant was needed or not.
Okay. Even though you don't have the benefit yourself, what we have seen, and indeed our reporter was at the press center where there was a press conference of which coup Anyidoho was an MC, and then, you know, police officers appeared and said they were arresting him. But going forward from that, the charge that's been given him is that of treason. Under what circumstance can somebody be charged of treason, really?
Treason is a very serious offense. It's a felony under our laws. And when a person is charged with treason, then it means that we are saying that the person has committed an act which offends the national security or which compromises the national security or is likely to lead to the overthrow of government or abrogation of the Constitution. So in such a situation, it means that that person wants to subvert the sovereignty of the particular country.
What's been the history on this? Because we've heard Koku make reference to a previous coup d'etat, one that people say that it's a chapter, an area that we never want to visit because we are a democracy now and nobody wants to see a military regime or even reference made to a coup d'etat. So what's the history here from then to now?
Sorry, the history of treason?
Treason and coup d'etats. For which reason we never want to experience that?
Oh, well, Ghana has experienced so many coup d'etat in our constitutional history. It is for the first time that we have enjoyed uninterrupted democratic rule for 25 years. And before then, the longest time that an elected president had been in office was for a little over 2 years. And so we have had that period in our history, and we've got to a time where we feel that we have stabilized in our democracy, and that's the thing of a coup d'etat or any other means of unconstitutional change in government is a thing of the past.
Can I ask what a civilian coup d'etat is? Is there anything like a civilian coup d'etat?
Well, that is, it depends on which side of the fence you stand. Sometimes coup d'etat is used generally to refer to any change of government through unconstitutional means. But strictly speaking, there are various means of unconstitutional change in government. For example, you can use rebels to change government. You can use mercenaries to change government. And even where a government decides to extend its term after, for example, a 2-year period that is prescribed in the Constitution has elapsed, and it wants to extend its term to a 3rd term, that even also constitutes unconstitutional change in government. And generally, people may refer to that as a coup d'etat. There is also this process of change in government where the government has entrenched itself in power and it has blocked all avenues for changing governments, and it has perpetuated itself in power or is perpetuating itself in power. So through a people's revolution, such as happened in parts of North Africa not long ago, especially Libya, and Egypt. That can precipitate change, and that is a form of unconstitutional change in government, but it's a form of change that can be endorsed as legitimate because of the fact that all avenues for change in government have been blocked. And so if you talk about civilian coup d'etat, it could fall into the realm of the latter case, where it doesn't involve the use of the military or a bloody change in government, but it is the force of the people, the momentum they're able to gather, which is able to force a government that is in power and perpetuating itself in power and committing illegalities to change.
The comments that Koku Anyidoho made, are those treasonable comments?
Now that the matter has been referred to the police and they have charged him, I'm in a difficult position to comment on that.
But it hasn't gone to court yet.
Of course, yes, but you need to be careful how you comment on that. You just need to look at the scenarios.
But it's making reference to a previous coup an offense?
Not necessarily. It's a question. It's a balance between freedom of expression and whether you want to commit a criminal act. The freedom of expression allows us to voice out our opinions, to receive such opinions, and to disseminate it as you want. But there's a caveat that there are some responsibilities that go with enjoyment of freedom of expression, and that is your expression should not compromise national security. And if it so happens, then it is one of the means that the law allows to limit the enjoyment of freedom of expression. You could also talk about it in the context of even propaganda, where you want to incite people to violence or to war. That is also, if you go that far, then it means that you have gone beyond the limits of your freedom of expression. So in that context, you can say that Koku Anyidoho may have gone beyond the right or the freedom of expression that he enjoys. But on the other hand, you also want to look at it from the perspective of whether he has the capacity to commit that act. So far, the police has done a search, and we don't know the evidence they found. Maybe they have found something that they think could connect him to the offense of high treason. So we will live to see how this will pan out as the event unfolds.
If we take a cue from what happened to Kennedy Japan, then I guess it's safe to say that this is a charge that can be difficult to prove.
Well, I mean, every case is difficult to prove because when it's a criminal case, you have to, the prosecution has to win its case on the balance of probabilities. And so in that context, it is about the evidence. At the end of the day, the name of the game is evidence. And so if the police is able to put this evidence properly together, then it can make a case. But yeah, so it boils down to that. At the end of the day, the evidence that can be marshaled that will determine whether they have a good case or a hard case, or whichever way it will have to go.
Dr. Appiah, stay with me, don't go yet, because I've got another legal practitioner in studio who is ranking member on the Constitutional Committee of Parliament. It's Legal Constitutional Committee
and Parliamentary Affairs.
And Parliamentary Affairs of Parliament, Alhaji Nusaf Saini. I was coming to you on what the punishment is. If proven guilty, what is he going to suffer?
It's stated in fact, it must be stated that the offense of high treason is the only offense that is created in the Constitution, the 1992 Constitution. That shows our determination to protect this Constitution. Indeed, if people are engaged in acts that are intended to overthrow the Constitution or any part of it, me and you can resist that act. And in resisting that act, if we are successful, the state will recognize our heroic activity. So
If we're not.
If you are not, I mean, if you are not, the new government will find you. Yeah. After that, you are resisting them. If you are not, then but that is the provision is intended to encourage us to resist, because like Bob Beff said, the good people are always more than the bad people. But it's only when the good people refuse to act that the bad people take over. So look at this provision. If we come together to say no, and I believe, to be honest with you, and that is why, let me say that, I believe Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president of Ghana, is listening to me now. Easter is just around the corner. He should exercise his executive authority to drop this case. This is not a matter that he should be interested in. Because this person...
Why not? There is a possibility that this may constitute
what
treason.
He referred to happened 46 ago. 46 years ago. We've just celebrated our 25th anniversary. We should not be looking at situations where we will criminalize free speech. Nana Akufo-Addo was a person who went to court and argued forcefully and vociferously against the sedition laws of this country, against the criminal libel law, and got it removed, even though it's coming back in another form in other countries. In our country today, we can say that even criminal libel law is coming back. Now, so why will we go back? Why will we take one step forward and two steps back?
But why would a leading member of the main opposition party, which just exited governments, take us back that way?
No, he exercises his right to freedom of speech. Okay, which has been found to be offensive to the sensibilities of right-thinking men. Okay, like I said, he's a criminal. Dr. Apiaje Itua says that you have to look at the circumstances of the case. Has it got the capacity? And I said it earlier. So, for me, if a person says a thing like this, what is the prudent response of government? Beef up your security. Intensify your intelligence gathering.
And let him just go?
Well, he's not going anywhere. He's in this country. And so, if a person says that, look, be mindful, what happened to your father could happen to you. And somebody said it earlier. Probably Anyidoho was not in the cassock. Because I read somewhere that a man of God has said it somewhere in similar terms, in more drastic terms. I mean, I just laughed. Because we in Ghana will resist any attempt to overthrow our government. We will not compromise the freedoms that we are enjoying now. We will not. I mean, Nana Akufo-Addo should be rest assured that we will protect his government to go through his term of office. Because we want to be able to compare the performances of government. We don't want any government to hide under the fact that if I were given the opportunity, I would have done better.
Dr. Apiaje, this is significant because that's a member of the NDC, the minority in parliament, that's making the statement that you hear right now. The fact that we've gone through this Fourth Republic safely 25 years, it's impossible for any person in the capacity of Koko Anyidoho to mean what he said, wouldn't you say?
I believe so, in the sense that when he talks about a civilian coup d'etat, even though he makes reference to the previous overthrow of the PP government, we have to look at the circumstances. We are currently in a democratic dispensation. We have been in a period of undisturbed constitutional rule for 25 years and beyond. If you look at the AU, the African Union, it has set strict rules on changes in government by constitutional means, and it is the only international organization, regional international organization, that has set out clear criteria on unconstitutional changes in government. And it even has a constitution, a treaty that relates to that. And even in the draft international criminal court that the AU is trying to set up, unconstitutional change in government is considered as an international crime. So it means how seriously the AU, not only that, ECOWAS also takes this matter. So looking at these circumstances and the fact that even the majority of Ghanaians, according to an Afrobarometer study, indicates that majority of us are in favor of constitutional rule. I don't think that the circumstances set itself up for a change in government which will be recognized if it is done unconstitutionally.
Yeah. So why do our governments, because this is not the first time that we're seeing this particular action, why do our governments still, take on people who make such comments the manner that they do and end up slapping a charge of treason on them?
Well, it's unfortunate. That is why I said that the situation has been politicized. On the one hand, the NPP comes out forcefully, even including the information minister, to say that it hacks the fact that he refers to history means that it is possible because that is how the previous coup was organized. The NDC, on the other hand, masses up people to say that he should be released, otherwise they won't leave the police headquarters. It compromises the whole principle of presumption of innocence and the fact that we have to resort to extrajudicial means to resolve issues. So that has compromised the whole discussion in a way. But I think that the police also, the issue about how they've handled it may determine or bring into discussion the independence of the police force. It is supposed to be an independent body. And we believe that is what they are trying to do. Their goal is to protect life and property, to ensure that there is peace and order within the society, yes. But in such a case, I think that they could have done things a little bit differently. For example, Mr. Anyidoho could have been invited to the police headquarters instead of being arrested. And they could have gone to his place to do the search discreetly to determine if there is any evidence that may prove capacity to commit the act. And then they could have immediately come up with a resolution of the matter, or they could have even granted him bail. But as it is now, they are making a hero out of him, and they are rather compromising the security of the states, in my opinion.
I'll come to you again, Dr. PJ, on this keeping people at the BNI for quite a good number of hours, and then us all contemplating whether the matter will end up in the court or not. But Alaji, I see you agreeing with Dr. PJ very much on the issue of discreetly doing this.
There's basically nothing to disagree with him. I mean, anybody who is watching the political landscape will be more worried. And like people said at the convergence ground for this demonstration, was the activity of the police intended to cow the people? And I've read Isankuma, who basically agrees with Epejatua that, look, why make a hero out of Anyidoho? I mean, because he cannot do what he says, what we are saying that he wants to do. He cannot. I mean,
I wonder if you held the same opinion when this was being done to Kennedy Japan, because it sounds like
I've held this opinion ever since we went democratic. And in fact, yesterday when you called me, I said, well, I won't even come. You remember? Because in Kennedy Japan, I didn't comment. The former president, Kufo, he said Westerns. I didn't comment. Because they're just mere paths. They intended to ginger up the support base of your party. Simple, and that's all. Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, as a political activist, said similar things. What's his name? Cabo, my brother, said similar things. Samuel Awuku said similar things. Look, my brother, my sister, this is just political path. Maybe when we begin to treat the sayings of people in political office with contempt, then they will tone down. They'll tone down. But when we make heroes out of them, people will emulate them. And so we need not. Why? I mean, if you think that anybody intended to overthrow this government will stand on the platform and announce him, and if a person does intends to overthrow the government and is in secret and in concert with others working to overthrow the government. The security agencies of state must leave out to its bidding and gather intelligence about the activities of persons suspected to be engaged in subversive activities. This is how we run the state.
Dr. Piaget, is there room in our constitution for you describe such comments as PEP? Or we lost the feed to Dr. Piaget.
Dr. Piaget knows that
we lost him
We
lost him, unfortunately. But what we do have for you, though, live visuals from the demonstration. What you see now is, just pretty much following from where the demonstration began. We're going to catch up shortly with where they've gotten to. But this is live pictures from Circle, the Obra Sports. That's where the demonstrators started off. Well, they haven't taken off exactly yet, so we see them in our shot right now. What you see, it's good area shots of the convergence point. That's the Obra Sport, where the demonstrators are going to start. They're going to take off very soon. But Alhaji, we thought the numbers were going to be more than this.
But
really.
let me be honest with you. Ghana can be beautiful. The shot is quite nice.
Is it because of the overpass that's...
Well, no, you didn't even give me the overpass.
Okay. So you're just appreciating our country. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Do all these people know why they're doing what they're doing?
They know.
Or people have just been, picked up and then they said, let's go and demonstrate?
They know.
Because sometimes I worry that maybe...
saying that the agreement... basically,
they've sold our country. Is that what it means?
$20 million. That's what the defense minister says.
Then you sold it back in 1998 and resold it in 2015, and you want to sell, and then the MPP want to sell it in 2018.
Is basically because the defense minister says that we are receiving $20 million.
But he also goes on to say that the money is not the focus. That's not why they.
But why would you even tell us that we are receiving $20 million to justify why you have entered into an agreement? Why would you do that?
Well, I mean, all the terms are out there, so this is part of the term.
And the American ambassador says $20 million is way too much, even.
And if you look at the Daily Dispatch, this morning, the front page headline at least says that 20 million in the agreement is not for Ghana; it is for U.S. expenses in Ghana.
Oh, you see. So clearly, I mean, we ought, you see, to be honest with you, countries, and because of the dynamics of security now, and the fluidity of the security threat to countries, countries have always entered into a defense and security cooperation agreements, and it's all over. When you in the Africa Maghreb, I mean in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, Algeria, you will find that we have got a present and living danger of the activities of terrorists over there. And they are compromising the security of most countries, including even Ghana. We have Boko Haram operating in Nigeria. Nobody knows when they will move into Ghana. We've had the civil war in Ivory Coast with a lot of small arms. We don't know how they're coming into Ghana. Recently, we arrested people in Odoko with what is it, grenades?
Yes.
Yes. So what is happening now? So countries enter into security and defense cooperation, but they must do that on equal bargaining terms.
You can't match up to the U.S. the force that the U.S. brings. That's a superpower.
Well, so what you probably would have done was to reduce the agreement you entered into with them into an act of parliament, so that it defines the relationship between us and U.S. in law, such that everybody would have had an opportunity, including civil society organizations, stakeholders, have an opportunity to input into the law to define our relationship in such a way that we can protect our national interests. But if you say a treaty, how many people went to discuss? I mean, it was a national interest of this country invested in the people who took part in the negotiations. And were they protecting the national interest? And so, yes, nobody can take it away from the president that he has power to enter into treaties. Article 75 says so in clear terms. Okay, but in doing so, he has to execute the treaty. Now, when he executes the treaty, and there are many treaties that this country has executed which has not been ratified by Parliament. Many. Now, because at any time, the executive will have to make a determination that we are so now suited to ratify because we have got commitments under the treaty. Even in this treaty, the treaty is not going to come into force until inspections are done and Ghana would be in a position to meet its obligations under the treaty. So what was the rush for?
And somebody will say, what's the rush for hitting the streets as well, if you know that we haven't totally
because we have ratified the treaty.
Absorbed the procedures.
The treaty is part of the laws, the acts of Parliament now. We've rectified.
I guess this conversation will continue. We wait to see what the options are for the minority. Have you gotten a call for a call back to Parliament? Because that's what the hints that the Information Minister gave us.
Well, it's part of the polarization that we are talking about.
Okay. Alhaji, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you so much for being here on the show and sharing your thoughts. So Koku could possibly be facing a death sentence. Is that it?
Well, they have just done so. The Koku, I'm so clear in my mind that Koku will not travel past a few months in the if Nana Addo Dankwa, the president, decides not to exercise his power of clemency to get Koku to go home and enjoy his Easter. I have every belief that Koku will not travel past 6 months in court.
Thank you very much, Alhaji.